Recording.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Namaste Village. It is Tuesday and Valentine's Day, the day of love, the day of expressing love. You know, Dave just reminded me of a memory that many of us probably share of being in grade school and going out and buying a big box full of Valentines and you sign them for every person in your class, and when you come home you have a big stack of them yourself, and if there was, you know, you're in second grade and there was one particular boy or girl that you had your eye on, you made sure they got the prettiest one, and if you got one from that person, oh yeah, that really set things up for a lovely day. But today we treat everyone as that holy offer of love, of grace. Everyone is our highest Valentine because everyone is the holy, perfect child of God. The holy, perfect child of God. Isn't that wonderful to know? So we're going to be celebrating love today. Every class, or every session rather, that we offer here today, really, as you know, comes down to one reality, one teaching. Only love is real. And if we're to celebrate that on any day, it would be today. And today we do have a very special experience of love that I am really excited about. I had been hearing about this gentleman for quite some time because we have a number of mutual friends. His name is Neal Rogan, and I heard great things about him. He had moved here from Marin County with his wonderful wife and other people from an intentional community where they lived there in Nevada. And when we did meet very, very briefly, it was one of those instances where you just feel the energy of kinship. I'm sure you know, you probably feel that all the time here. When people come together with that single intention of love, you immediately feel that they are kin, that these are my siblings, and that's how I felt. And as I've gotten to know Neal, there was something else I discovered, which is he's basically an older version of me. There's so many things that we have in common, which I won't go into, but they are many and varied. And Neal, he's not only just an amazing human being with just a bright spirit, but he has a very unique way of sharing that. And he's written an amazing, beautiful book, which I'm going to have him come up and read a section from, and then we'll have a discussion about it. But it's just wonderful to know that here in our village, our not just Namaste village, but the larger village, that we are filled to overflowing with bright lights. When Yogananda was here in the 20s, and he felt the movement of that grace in this direction, he felt the momentum of light here in the lakeside area. He knew that one day this would be an area of great transformation. And we are the living witness and examples of that. And Namaste Village has a big part to play, but there are so many other communities and so many other people and so many other little circles around this area who are holding this light in such a bright way, and Neal is certainly one of them. So I'm going to invite Neal to come up, and he's going to share from his book, Delightenment. That's what it's called, right? Delightenment, that's right. Isn't that cool? Delightenment. So I'm going to have Neal, why don't you sit here in this beautiful chair, and then when he's done, then I'll come back and we'll share together.
I'm the also not older, also shorter version. What a delight to be to be seen by you. I told James earlier when I walked into this place, when I walked in here, I felt like, oh, is that better? Like it was a warm bath. Put on glasses that I can see with. And I love Valentine's Day. When I was a kid, I thought it was a Jewish holiday because I thought his name was Wallenstein. Also, I just wanted to read you the subtitle of my book, which is Escaping the Solitary Confinement of Your Prisonality. It's just really wonderful to be among you, mighty companions. So, the question is, will you allow me to enter your reality and be what you are in the world? If you will step aside, give up your personal history, stop trying to make sense, to have meaning, to add up to something. If you'll give up trying to make your life story turn out, I can come. I can be here with you, as you. But for me to be here, you must go. Willingly, purposefully, eyes openly, voluntarily. Can you let go of your story? Can you dispose of years of struggle and terror? Can you extinguish your need to validate, exonerate, justify, or vindicate yourself and your history? And just let the hysterical, insert your name here, go. Can you finally stop pretending so hard that you are not something bad? Can you give up protesting you're innocent and withdraw you're not guilty plea? Can you let go forever of the structures you've created to solve your misunderstanding? Your assumption of the loss of love, the absence of your creator, of your separation from your experience of your life. You labor so hard to assuage your abandonment. You deny it. You rail against it. You pretend to be beyond it. You pretend to accept it. Then you carefully build a clever ruse to get around it. You wall off a small segment of your totality, a kind of ritual cosmetic amputation, to accommodate the resignation of the inevitability of your predicament, marooned in life on a ball of dirt in the middle of nowhere, trapped on a cold, desolate, isolated island in a dark and frigid universe. What a crock. You've gone into a theater to watch a horror movie, and while there, got knocked in the head, got amnesia, woke up, and now you think the movie is real. You went into the theater long ago. Time to come out now. Ollie, ollie, oxen free. It's really just a movie.
Real question.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Let me come up.
Okay.
No, this is perfect.
Okay.
Wow, I can talk loud enough that you can all hear me. I just want to sit with that for a moment. It's time to leave the movie theater. I think that's what we say here every day in different ways. The game is over. You won. Hold on. Okay. And it's time to come home. So this idea of delightment, how else would we feel when we realize that? When we realize the simplicity of salvation is that this is over. It was just a dream. It was a movie, however you want to look at it. And the realization of this brings such delight and such release that the world just shines everywhere. So I'd love to hear how you chose that title and what that means to you, Delightment.
Yeah. That's my experience when I am not who I have been pretending to be all this time, and realize that I'm not the person I'm pretending not to be, that I can give up that trying to make my life story turn out, have it be the only thing that that I have going on. I remember when I was praying, and I was really moved, and I was really deep, and I said, I want more God in my life. And the answer came really quickly, said, okay, how about a little less Neal? And I recognized that was the exchange. You know, if I could stop being so much about, quote, the little me and having me turn out, then what's left is this incredible, effusive gift of love and delight. That our natural state, we are delighted all the time, except we cover it over and pretend not to be. But it's that recognition that our birthright and our destination and our occupation is to be delighted, delightful, and a light.
Yeah. The ego's trick of convincing us that we have to make the identity work out. It has to work out. Otherwise, what? Otherwise, what? I mean, have we failed at something? It's just the opposite. When we stop, and that's what I love about your section, why I asked you to read it. When we stop trying to make it all turn out the way we hold in our mind, the illusions that we hold of what turning out means, when we just let all that go, have less of James, less of Neal, less of any identity, and just allow the light itself to shine through us. If you don't mind, one of the things that I would love to share about you, Neal, that I didn't even know until we had lunch together a few days ago. If any of you enjoy the show Mad Men, how many of you have watched Mad Men? He's like one of the original Mad Men from New York, you know, high executive in an ad agency, the creative guy who's wearing a scarf around his neck instead of a tie in the mid-60s. That's him. And the whole point of advertising is to make it work out. Make it do what you want it to do. And the whole point of the spiritual journey is to just let that dissolve. And that's what brings the delightment. Wouldn't you agree?
I agree. I agree. You know, there's really just one of us here in many different forms, and that one of us is not suffering and is delighted all the time.
Oh, that's good. It's delighted all the time, whether we recognize it or not. You know, it's like saying I'm happy even when I'm not. It's always there. The light is always there, right? Sometimes there are clouds that seem to block the sun, but does that mean the light is not there? Does that mean that the delight has disappeared just because we've covered it up with all sorts of silly, ridiculous ideas that were never even close to being true, but we've made seem to be true? My gosh, it's like the absurdity of it at some point just comes rushing in, and we realize I'm not going to work. I'm not going to work out, because the ego's whole trajectory is to attack this. and to kill it anyway. So even in the best situation, it's not going to work out. But the light has already completely worked me out. Worked me out. Yeah.
Well, I just noticed that my ego says things like, well, the sun's not out today.
Right.
The sun's out, always out. We have barriers, to say that the sun never sets, we turn away. It's a constant that I keep rediscovering, and every time I rediscover it, get back home, it's a sweet, warm bath. It's delight. It's, everything is okay. There is no what if, and what else could there be? And it's this one positive, solid experience of a constant, eternal light that's there for us to discover and rediscover until we realize we are that light.
Mm. There's something else that I heard in your selection. The word similar to I will come to you, or I have come to you. So what is the I? Who is the I that's referring to? When I hear that, of course, I've done a lot of work, a lot of writing around the name of God that was given to Moses at the burning bush, Ehyeh Asher Ehyeh, often translated as I am that I am. And there is this constant reduction that takes place into the I. Okay, this is the pure experience of reality, of the light. So it begins with that phrase, I am that I am. Then it reduces to I am that. Then it reduces to simply I am. But even the I am is movement into expression until finally I. Just the pure presence of love itself, not needing anything, not requiring anything. When you wrote those words, whether that was specifically in your mind or not, is that where you were going with that?
Yes, well, it was that which was writing. That I was the writer of that. And I was kind of like, wow, just watching it happen. And that happens a lot. I have this process I call thunderstanding.
Right. Did you hear that? I want to make sure. Thunderstanding. He is a wordsmith, yes.
That's a neologism.
Neologism.
But allowing that, that's been the process for me. Is when I was doing what I would call an I am-a-thon, who am I-a-thon, where I would spend 3 days going, who am I, and trying to communicate and trying to get, really wanting to know and discharging anything that came up as an answer to that, because there is no answer to it, but there is a way of having the mind just kind of break open. And the experience then was so otherworldly or divine that I realized that I really don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know, became my mantra. And it was the truth. And I recognized that if I can ask like I know nothing, but I can listen like I can know everything, then everything shows up in that space of I don't know. Because you can't you can only fill an empty space. Whatever you leave empty, grace will fill. And so I try and become less and less and less and less of Neal. And so far, there's just a little bit left for me to put glasses on and brush my teeth.
Less of me, more of thee.
Yes.
Yeah. And I was just telling, I think it was David yesterday that, and I've said this before, and I think maybe we could all say this. My guru, my highest teacher is Sergeant Schultz. I know nothing. Just stay with that. It makes it so simple. It's saying that the identity that I claim thinks it knows a lot, wants to believe that it's got his shit together, but no, just keep like we reduce that name from I am that I am just down to the single I. It's like just reducing it to love itself. Just keep letting go, keep dissolving until we come down to that single I. I. So I would love to hear what Vicky, we have a few minutes left here. So Vicky, meet Neal, meet Vicky. I would love to hear what you would like to share.
Well, thanks, Brother James and Neal. What a pleasure to meet you. And I can see how your minds are very entrained to love in much the same way. You even have similar glasses on. Also, Neal, I think no accident you were in the advertising world, because what's advertising except bringing people to join around perhaps a product or something that you're trying to sell, but really it's an advertisement that brings together people to love. That's all it is, to enjoy, to delight in whatever product you might be peddling, but the real product is the joining and the love. So wonderful work, wonderful healing work you've been doing all your life. And I love the thunder thinking. We all have those thunderous moments where, oh my gosh, aha. And those are the moments I'm out of the way, and that presence is front and center. I love it. But so, you know how you said, whether you're at Namaste Village or you're in a spiritual community here, there, or anywhere, or you're in a warm bathtub, what happens is our sense of ourself dissolves into an experience of belonging, becoming part of the bath, part of the enjoyment, part of the light, the delight of what can be every moment. So I'm going to bring it to very practical. So I'm moving to a new area. I don't live in a spiritual community. My world is my community, wherever I show up. And so yesterday, I showed up at a senior center. I've never gone to a senior center because I've been all my life as a person from birth till now in a place where it never occurred to me to go to anything senior. I figured, oh, well, I better check it out. Well, I walk in the door and I'm telling you, and for those of you that may not go, senior centers are like going back to kindergarten. Everybody is happy. Everybody welcomes you. They like do somersaults that you walked in the door. So I said, well, what do you have? And I looked around and they had a tap class. Great. I said, let me go to the tap class. Let me check it out. So I walk in this tap class of all these beautiful, not just women, men too. There was 100-year-old man still tapping his way to heaven. And I'm telling you, what an immediate entry into warmth and fellowship and brotherhood. And I'm telling you, genuine love, because you can't be miserable if you're going to tap your toes. It just doesn't go together. You can't cry and be laughing hysterically at the same time. It was such a delight. And I'm telling you, everyone welcomed me like I was Ginger Rogers coming back for an appearance. It was like, but there are places like that everywhere. If you go to a botanical garden and everyone's enjoying the beauty of a flower or a trellis, everyone is warm and welcoming and they smile just like at a concert of uplifting music. You leave and everyone is your family, your brother. And that's how, in today's unity message, it's from Paul, clothe yourself in love. Isn't that all we have to do? And wherever we go, if we're clothed in love, if we're clothed in, I could care less whatever I've done or where I'm going or who cares or who knows. But here I am as love present. The grocery store, wherever I am, love responds to love. It's an invitation to all those around us. But In the meantime, it's nice to find pockets of that warm bathtub, whether it's a botanical garden, try a tap class. I also met the ballet teacher. It's, oh, this is a whole new world, a whole new world of delight where no one takes their roles seriously, where all they take seriously is the present moment of delight. That's really all it is. Whatever we are called to, wherever we find ourselves, and I look for those places. And being in a new environment, I'm saying a thunderous moment, like, oh, thunderous, where should I go? Oh, an old people place. And I thought, this is great. Line dancing next. Who knows? But anyway, they are all around us, these warm baths of love. It's another example, and what James talks about all the time, of an experience of love, not just a study about it, not just some aesthetic practice where you drop your thinking, but an experience of joy, delight, joining, and love. Thanks, Brother James. Pleasure to meet you, Neal. Hope we see much more of you. God bless you. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you so much.
I'm hoping that Neal becomes a regular sharer here. Wouldn't that be fun?
Yes, yes.
And you know what I would love to do now? Scott, that one word, delightment. See, we love to just throw the dice out to Scott, and whatever number that dice lands on, he crafts. I mean, talk about delightment. You know, he does exactly that with music and vibration, and I know we're going to be delighted. So let's have Scott come up. But before we do, Neal, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Scott, come on up.
Oh.
James gave me an enlightenment to come up and sing about delightment. It brought me fear and excitement, maybe some enlightenment. All these things that I feel, yet I want to honor Neal for having such appeal, peeling away the layers of Neal to invite more God, showing us it's graceful, doesn't have to be hard. Thank you, Neal Rogan, for not being Neal. Reminding us we are one, and nothing ever blocks the sun. And life is just so much more fun when you release the story of you. Stop trying to win at the game of life. Surrender and know it's already all right. You're here to fly like a kite and let the wind carry you along like a song that just gets written in the now moment. That's where you'll be smitten, and you'll be playful like a dog or a kitten, like an old age home. So tap your toes a little, don't try to answer the riddle. Who am I? Who am I? Who am I? it's all crap. That's a good place to end.
We're not supposed to clap, but we can't help it. That was Delightenment. That was the musical version. So, oh, what joy, what joy. Thank you, Neal. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Vicky. Thank you. Let's let that gratitude fill us today. This day of love. We have a wedding taking place here at Namaste today. Our dear Jet and Luis are celebrating love. And that's what we're going to do all day long. We're going to celebrate love because love is the answer. That's the shirt I'm looking at right now. I'm Owen. Love is the answer. So thank you, everyone. Have a blessed day. Let's go out and share that love. Let's dissolve completely so only that love light shines through. Blessed day. We love you. Namaste.
Love you. Have a great day.
Happy Valentine's,
Valentine's Day.
everyone. Love you.
Love you all.
Love you.
Great to see you.